Most of the evidence that we have at Pompeii is from people's homes, homes that were buried. And Roman houses really are only for the upper class. The equivalent of today, maybe the 1%, maybe a little bit beneath there, but unless you're making the equivalent today of, say, $250,000 a year, you aren't going to own a house. They're only for the wealthy, and we do refer to them as villas regularly. And what we're looking at is the basic layout of a Roman house, and it's built around two separate courtyards. In the front, we have this courtyard in the center, right here, and that's what we're seeing in this picture on the right. And the entire reason that this courtyard exists is to collect water. You see there's a little pond here. What you don't see is there would have been a pipe in one corner that led to a cistern. So they're collecting rainwater to use, because most people, unless you're in the top 1%, you cannot actually afford to have water piped into your house, an issue we'll deal with later. The second courtyard, and you can see this in the background, is usually a garden. And it's of course walled off so that no one else is coming in. And then the rest of the house, we can have 1, 2, or sometimes 3 stories, is built off of this central water collection courtyard. You would have staircases, individual rooms such as a banquet room or a storeroom or a kitchen. And some of these would be slaves' quarters, so areas where only slaves would move. Oftentimes there would be a couple of rooms that were the women's quarters, because we do have a strongly patriarchal society in Rome, although not nearly as strong as in Greece. And then we would have the family quarters. And up front, frequently you would have openings. So, for example, here we have a shop. That is to rent out so that you can make back some of the money that, of course, you're spending on owning this house. And at the time, in ancient times, this is quite lavish. But today, this is sort of the equivalent of a 3,000 square foot house, where it's good, it's large, but most of us would sit there and go, really? This is what wealth would buy you? And you get the same sense if you ever go to Monticello or James Madison's house or Mount Vernon, where you see those historic homes and how small they are. And here we see again that layout of what this house would have looked like, and the whole thing would have been walled in, privacy being a key element. It should also be pointed out that the family living there wouldn't just be a husband, wife, and children, but it would be their servants, it would be their extended family, so oftentimes grandparents and grandchildren and maybe great-grandparents or children are all living there. Oftentimes you have cousins, etc. So big family living in one place. And then inside, as you can see looking at the walls, it would have been covered with murals, and we're going to get to that in just one second.